Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. Welcome to Face the Music. Glad that you're here. So today going to be talking a little bit before I show this video about how I even came to get to know this song. So again, the artist that you saw in the title is Richard Marx. My wife and I actually went and saw him about, I guess maybe about 2 weeks ago, week and a half, 2 weeks ago, something like that, over in a casino nearby in a nearby state. Great concert. Never had seen him before. And he's got some great music. And I remember when we were getting ready to go, maybe the week before we went to the concert, my wife and I, we said, and I said, I didn't really know a lot of his newer stuff. I knew a lot of his older stuff, right? And I said, well, maybe we ought to listen to we were talking about like maybe we ought to listen to some of his greatest hits or something just to kind of get refreshed on those songs and maybe hear what he's doing now if there's anything out there. So we pulled up a Richard Marx playlist and we're playing it and we were talking in the car, we were driving and I was kind of listening to the songs in the background. And he has like his normal great songs, from back in the, maybe 80s, 90s, songs like Right Here Waiting, of course, probably his biggest hit, who knows. Right Here Waiting. Then you had, songs like Should Have Known Better, Satisfied, Hold On to the Nights, those great songs. And so, and I was kind of listening to him in the background. My wife and I were talking. And then there came a time when we were talking and I heard another song come on in the background. And I was kind of like, we were talking and I was kind of like half listening to this song and thinking, I don't think I've ever heard this particular song. And at first I thought, well, maybe another song got snuck into this playlist. Like maybe someone put this playlist together and this isn't really him, it's someone else's song. And, I have to go, check this out later on. Because I did like the song. I did like what I was hearing. I did like the tune. But then I started listening a little bit more, paid more attention to the voice, and it was Richard Marx. And I'm like, man, so I mentally made a note of some of the words and some of the lines that I heard. And then later on, I went and Googled those lines, and it came up to this song that we're going to feature in the video today called Hazard. Now, this song came out in, I think it was 1992. And I thought, I've never heard this song, and it's a fantastic song. If you already know this song, then you already know what I'm going to say. I mean, you already know that this is a great, fantastic song. It's a great story song. And we'll get into the story after the video, but I'm going to play the song first. But I got to thinking, why do I not know this song? You would think that, I was into Richard Marx. I was into a lot of his music back in the day. And then I thought, it makes sense because in 92, I was actually in college. And at that time, I'd kind of gotten away a little bit from some of the pop stuff, some of the rock. And I still like that music, but I'd kind of gotten more into country at that time, very interestingly enough. And I was listening more to Garth Brooks. I was listening to Alan Jackson, Marty Stewart, Diamond Rio, a lot of the artists, Aaron Tippin, a lot of these guys that came out, at that time, Clint Black, all these country artists. So I was really into listening to country music. And I wasn't really listening too much to what was on the radio. And I guess the song was big on the radio, and I just never knew it. And so it sounded somewhat familiar, but I thought, well, maybe I've heard it somewhere and just didn't really pay much attention to it. I don't know. But now, hearing it at this point in time, I thought, man, this is a fantastic song. So I'm going to go ahead and play the song. We're going to look at the video, and then I'm going to kind of talk a little bit about the video because there may be some things about the video, maybe about the song. If you guys, like I said, if you know about Richard Marx in this song, then you already know, and I'm sure you probably love the song. And for those of you who don't know anything about the song, you might have some questions after you see the video. So I'm going to kind of explain a little bit of it. I'm going to talk a little bit about maybe, like actually how Richard Marx actually came up with this song and the song title and so forth. So let's go ahead and get into it. This is going to be Richard Marx and his song, like I said, I believe it's from 1992 called Hazard. Here we go. Let me back this up. Gotta put it out, and here we go. It's got that like mysterious vibe going into this song, which is really what kind of attracted me to it to begin with.
Ago when till the night you went out walking all alone and never came home. Man with a badge came knocking next morning. Here was I surrounded by 1,000 fingers suddenly pointed right at me. I swear I left her by the river. I swear I left her safe and sound. I need to make it to the river and leave this old Nebraska town. Think about my life gone by. How it's done me wrong. There's no escape for me this time. All of my rescues are gone, long gone.
Like I say, there's just this real mysterious vibe to this song, just the way the melody's put together, and then the storyline's great. I mean, just fantastic.
Answer the question.
I didn't date her.
You didn't date her?
She made you jealous, didn't she?
All right, Sheriff, what's the point?
This is the point. You recognize this? How did you tie this around Miss Mary's neck?
I swear I left her by the river. I swear I left her safe and sound. Oh, I need to make it to the river and leave this old Nebraska town.
You know, everyone thinks I should be afraid of you. But I'm not.
Wow. I don't know. I mean, to me, that's just a fantastic song. Fantastic story song, really. Um, I don't know if this is playing. Let me skip this because I feel like there you go. Sorry about that. I think, um, you know, so I've watched some interviews with Richard Marx about like how the song actually came about, right? So, if I remember correctly, so he was basically talking about how back in the 90s, late 80s, early 90s, a lot of people were writing these songs that were kind of like ballads, that were kind of like story songs, really. And he had like a lot of great hits up to that point, but this was going to be a story song that he wanted to write one. He wanted to kind of get into that field like a lot of other artists were having a lot of success with. But he didn't really just want to just write a regular story song. He wanted to have one that was kind of like a mysterious. Like I said here a couple of times, it's got a mysterious vibe to it. It's kind of got like this haunting aspect to it. And so he came up with this storyline about like a guy who, his mom and and him when he was a boy moves to this town in Nebraska. You already knew he wanted Nebraska in there, and then there's a girl in the story who gets murdered, and then and he's kind of the odd guy in town, and so people think it's him, and so he wanted to write that. So anyways, he said that at one point he was in his home studio. He was like kind of noodling around with this song and he was doing it. And I don't know if he was recording it or just kind of playing it out loud. And at the time, he wasn't married to his current wife, Daisy Fuentes. He was married to his first wife, Cynthia Rhodes. And she came by and she heard the song. She stood there and listened to him sing the song and then said, "Hey, what is that?" And he was like, "It's nothing. It's just this dumb song on the idea I came up with, whatever." And she says, "No, honey," she says, "that's a hit." And he said, "Honey, no, it's not. It's not a hit." And he said he thought he knew better, of course, He said, and then 5 months later, but he did record it. 5 months later, #1 song in I think 13 countries. So but kind of going into like the aspect of for one thing, for example, he didn't know he wanted to put he wanted to make it a song in Nebraska, but he didn't know what the place name should be. So what he did is he contacted the Nebraska Chamber of Commerce. He says, "Hey, can you send me all the names of the towns in Nebraska?" And he thought, "I'll just pick one." And so they sent him this big, huge, set of documents and papers that all these town names in the state. And he said he just kind of took the pages and kind of tossed them up, and he thought, I'm just going to point at one, and that's the one I'm going to go with. And he pointed at one, and it was too long, and the syllables didn't work or whatever. And he did that a few times. Number 2, it didn't work. 3, that doesn't work. And he said eventually at one point he pointed at a sheet, and there it was, and it said hazard. And it matched perfectly with not only the syllables, he needed 2 syllables, but it also matched the vibe of the song. And so that's how he came up with the song with the title Hazard. Like I say, it's just, to me, it's a fantastic song. Now, a lot of people, they get kind of hung up on like who actually killed Mary in the video. And if you ask him, and I have never asked him, but I mean, I've seen other people ask him, and people who've said that they've talked to him about it. And basically, I think the idea is most people believe it was the sheriff, because you can see in the video the sheriff follows Mary, and at one point looks like she's kind of running away from him, and he's just got this creepy vibe to him. By the way, if you don't know who the sheriff was, the actor who portrayed the sheriff in this video, it's none other than Robert Conrad. Now, for those of you older, a lot of you may already know this, but for those of you who are maybe older, who remember the show The Wild Wild West back, and I think it was in the 60s, Robert Conrad was the main actor there. So, and he portrays the sheriff here. And I think the actress who plays Mary, not Mary, but the mom, I think her name was Jennifer O'Neill, I believe. And she was a pretty popular actress in her own right, had a lot of movies and things, behind her. And Richard actually was a fan of both of them. And so to get both of them in his own video, he thought that was fantastic. But anyways, so a lot of people think it's the sheriff, and some people think, well, maybe he did it. And, you can see like as he grew up, he saw like, some of the similarities that went on between Mary and the guy in the car that she was making out with, when he saw what happened to his mother when his dad went off to war, and that, she was having an affair on the dad, and all these things, and so it just kind of played into his mind mentally. And so a lot of people think, well, maybe it was him. So Richard kind of leaves it up to like the viewer to determine whether or not they feel it was the sheriff, or whether they feel it was him or whoever. So, I mean, I guess it's up to you if you think it was the sheriff or whatever. But the storyline, just a great song, kind of out of the norm for most all of his other songs that I've ever heard anyways. He's got some great hits, but a story song like this, I think, is just very unique. And like I said, I love the tune, I love the melody. I think it just fits perfectly, with the vibe of the song. So anyways, so there you go. Richard Marx, Hazard. Again, hope you enjoyed that episode. Hope you maybe learned something, got some new information about the song, and maybe this was the first time you'd ever heard it, or maybe you've heard it before but didn't know some of the other information. So hopefully I was able to share some things with you on that. Anyways, if you're not a subscriber to my channel, do me a favor, go ahead and reach over, hit that subscribe button, join this big family. We just keep all this great music alive around here is all we like to do. And I got some other videos coming up here shortly. I've got, I got some more Eagles. I did my last video was on the Eagles. I got some more Eagles things coming up. And actually, I wrote down some other things. What was another one I was going to do? I got actually a great song from the band America coming up. And so hopefully you come back for that. But set up your notifications so whenever I drop new episodes, you'll be the first to know. Okay? That's it for today. I'll see you next time right here on Face the Music. Take care.